All right, so hello, my name is Marshall Weston. I am the president and CEO of the Restaurant Association of Maryland. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar this afternoon with our longtime energy partner, Sprague. They're going to talk about, the what's going on here in the state of Maryland and to offer up some ways that you can manage what you do within your restaurants and your businesses to make things better. So just a quick housekeeping note. We understand that you may have questions as things are going on. What we are asking you to do is to please just drop those into the chat, and at the end of the presentation, we'll have a manager facilitate the chat and make sure that your questions get asked and answered the best that they can. So joining us today for our presentation are Mike and Peter from Sprague Energy, and I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to them. Thanks.
That's great. Thanks for the intro, Marshall.
Thanks, Mark.
And thank you everybody for joining us today for this special webinar. We're excited to get a chance to talk to the RAM Association about the different issues in the energy market that you guys are facing. Quick intro, my name is Mike Jonagani, Peter Jagosinski. I'm the director over here at Natural Gas and Power Sales for Sprague. Pete is your dedicated portfolio manager. Your single point of contact for any member of the RAM Association. The agenda today, quickly, we're going to go over the current energy markets in Maryland, energy challenges that are facing restaurants, the true cost of utility supply, how competitive third-party supply works, how to evaluate energy suppliers, and lastly, who we are, for those of you who do not know. So moving right along, the Maryland market conditions. Natural gas is a major price setter that is fueling electricity because it's increasingly used to generate power. As this graph shows, the blue line is natural gas and the yellowish orange line is electricity. And you can see that they move together simultaneously. Those major spikes that you're seeing are mostly the winters of the past 20 years. And the reason for this is as coal and nuclear generation retire or come offline, natural gas fired generation is filling much of those gaps. So it's making electricity prices move closely with the gas market. Winter periods typically drive the greatest volatility as the heating demand is increasingly competition for natural gas supply, which can push both the gas and electricity prices higher. Historically, we've always seen very high electric prices in the summer and high gas prices in the winter, but it's actually quite the opposite. We're seeing quite high electricity prices and gas prices in the winter. So a key takeaway for Maryland customers is that electricity pricing is not isolated. Natural gas volatility can flow through to power costs, making timing, hedging, and the contract structure of your contracts very important. So winter is coming. I'm sure everybody remembers the winter we had this year. It was probably one of the worst winters we've seen in quite some time. Winter Storm Fern created an historically large price spike that we have never seen in the energy markets. The price spike was driven by a classic winter squeeze. You had extreme heating demand across the country, cold weather freeze-offs of well points for production, and you had record natural gas storage withdrawals. If you can see here on the graph, this is just that one day where if you can see the typical price is anywhere between $2 and $4, with the highest points of about $10 back in 2022-23 winter, compared to just this past January 23rd, where it was over $30. So again, just to show you the volatility. So another big driver putting pressure on the energy markets is the LNG market. So LNG exports continue to put this increasing price pressure on nat gas year over year, as more and more gas is being liquefied and shipped overseas. LNG exports, the demand keeps increasing. And our domestic supply has to now serve not only the US, but the global markets. So a lot of people wonder why. It all comes down to cost, and it has become a global market because you can take natural gas out of the ground, you can liquefy it, and you can put it on ships, and you can sell it anywhere in the world. To give you an idea, a decatherm of natural gas in the United States is roughly $3. Compared to Europe, it's roughly 4 to 5 times that, at around $14. And in Japan and Asia, it's roughly 5 times more than that, at $16 a decatherm. So this shows all the different projects that are coming online in the next 3 years. Export capacity, again, is expected to grow and will continue. Higher natural gas demand can also put pressure on the utility costs because natural gas is used for both, again, heating and power generation. A tighter gas market is going to increase both your gas bills and your electric costs. So key takeaways, energy costs are becoming more connected to the global markets. So a Maryland restaurant may see more price volatility even when their local demand has not changed because of this global market exposure. This is a big buzzword I know in the news lately, data centers. So data center expansion across the PJM market is expected to continue to rise. The electricity demand is forecasted, as you can see by this blue line here, was the last forecast in 2025. They've already increased it this year for even a greater summer peak demand. These data centers are major drivers of growth. The electric grid simply can't keep up with the demand to power these data centers. So fuel cells are being used to help generate the electricity needed, which is putting more pressure on natural gas because these fuel cells run off of natural gas. So we're maxing out the grid for electricity, and we're putting more pressure on natural gas for these fuel cells. Again, key takeaway for Maryland restaurants is the growing power demand from these data centers is increasing the competition for the grid capacity, which can continue to put higher and more volatile electric costs on the utility over time.
Mike, great analytics. That was spot on. We saw the bottom line is we've seen a lot of volatility in our areas the past 3 or 4 years, and all that information is basically driving that volatility. Obviously, now when it comes to restaurants and challenges facing restaurants, what are they dealing with? A restaurant is not your typical kind of building or I guess company. They use their power and gas basically throughout the year. Where they're putting all their energy is HVAC, lighting, refrigeration, cooking equipment. Basically, nearly three times more energy per square foot they are using it compared to a normal building, basically. So those long operating hours, energy costs can be up to 5 to 10% of a restaurant's energy costs. So then we're seeing it, also, in New Jersey as well, Maryland as well, a lot of volatility. So you're basically, a restaurant is using their energy from 10:30 in the morning till about 11 o'clock at night. So that's a long day, basically. And restaurants do not basically have their seasonal curves like most companies do. Most companies use their gas from November through March, and they're using their electric from, let's say, June through September. And a typical restaurant is using their energy 12 months a year strongly. And then what is supply? That's basically why we're here, supply. Yes, utility supply, third-party supply, but once again, let's talk about the word supply. When you get your bill in the mail, whether it be electric or gas, it's divided into 2 parts. 1/3 the size of your bill is delivery charge. That stays with the utility. That's maintaining the lines, maintaining the customer service. But the biggest portion, which is 2/3 the size of your bill, is called supply. And that's where we come in. And that's where you can shop the market. You don't have to stay with that local your local utility. You can shop the market. But how does the utility deem that? Why it can hurt your bottom line? The utilities can fluctuate with market conditions and annual reconciliations and unpredictable customer costs. And basically, they can take control of when and how you buy your energy, basically. We live in a forever changing market, as Mike talked about. We have the Ukraine war, the Iran war, Storm Fern. You probably heard of these storms in the past, bomb cyclones. I mean, there's a lot of things going on these past 3 or 4 years that has affected our volatility. Even this past January and February, we've had a very cold 2026. There's even government policies that change and create the volatility, whether they think about it or not. Where they go to renewables, where they go to air, solar, anything basically. It changes, it adds to the volatility of where we live. And here we go again. PJM. What does PJM stand for? Mike and I live in New Jersey. PJM stands for Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, the marketplace. And here are the prices, the main electric supply costs in Maryland, BG&E, Pepco, and Potomac Edison. And as you can see, we have a chart here Mike and I put together from 2024 to 26. Pricing has escalated 20% or higher, basically.
Yeah, BG&E is a 20% increase just in the last 2.5 years. So I know there's multiple other utilities in Maryland, but we just picked the 3 largest ones.
Right, and being supply, which is 2/3 the part of your bill, you can really there's savings in there, and that's what we're about.
So that was electricity, and then these are your 2 largest natural gas utilities. As you can see, just BG&E alone is probably the biggest one. That's over a 30%
increase.
Washington Gas and Light a little bit, not as much, but still up quite a bit from 24.
Very expensive in Maryland.
Okay, so why do I want a third-party supplier? Again, third-party energy supply allows businesses to purchase their supply outside of the utility. We have the ability to, number one, create budget certainty. So if we, pick a fixed contract, you have flexibility, whether you want to choose a 12-month, a 24, 18, 36, 48, whatever month term that you want, and you have a fixed price. So there's budget certainty definitely involved. And through deregulation, you have that freedom of choice. Again, you'll always be a customer of the utility because they're responsible for delivering that electricity or natural gas to you. But you do have the choice to go out and shop your supply and save money and create budget certainty.
And basically, this slide talks about how you choose that third-party supplier. How do you feel comfortable? I think the greatest take from this is a dedicated account manager, which would be myself, a person that you could call upon, take your phone call, answer your questions, look into anything. Because a lot of these companies out there do not have a dedicated person. So a lot of tabs on here, but basically that's the main draw on this slide, basically.
Yeah, and I think it's important to also find out who you're working with, right? Are you working with a direct supplier? Are you working with somebody who's selling energy part-time out of their basement?
Right.
We run into that a lot. Like Peter touched on, having a dedicated account manager is huge. We hear that all the time from customers who are been with other suppliers where they're calling a 1-800 number and trying to track down questions and answers, and it takes forever. I mean, having a dedicated account manager, whether it's a billing issue or anything, your contact would be Pete, and Pete would go to the appropriate departments here at Sprague to find you the answers that you need.
Very true. Very true.
And again, we have flexibility. We can structure contracts in different terms, different products. There's a lot of flexibility, and we have the ability to give you all those options as well.
Very true. And here we are, Sprague, how we get the ball rolling, the Sprague Energy approach. We offer budget certainty and pricing flexibility, and we have insight in the market. Mike and I have been in the energy for over 18 years, and we have a dedicated support and an account management team here. We have a power team, we have a gas team, credit team, billing team. We have a lot of entities here that basically make the ball rolling here and get everything done properly. So with confidence there.
So who is Sprague? Again, we've been in business for over 155 years. We've been a trusted energy partner across the East Coast. You know, we're involved in a number of different energies like natural gas, electricity. We can offer carbon offsets, renewables, biofuels, solar. We serve over 25,000 commercial industrial customers. So, I mean, the company that's been around since 1870, you don't stay in business that long by, you know, doing the wrong thing. So we're always putting the customer's best interest first, and that's our driving goal.
Why restaurants choose Sprague? I think the big takeaway on this slide is we've been the preferred energy supplier for RAM for over 20 years and growing. We're visible also. We go to the Spring Expo. We go to the RAM Gala. We're doing this webinar. You know, we are committed to be a great partner with RAM. And, you know, we focus on sustainable initiatives and everything. And we just are part of RAM from beginning to end, basically.
And so next steps, you know, I would invite anybody who would like a free consultation. You know, you could send Peter your utility bills. If you're in a contract, we can review it. We can tell you the good, the bad, the ugly.
Yep.
We can also set up for renewal pricing when your contract ends. So you can have pricing leading up to it. And we can monitor the market while we wait for your contract, your current contract to end. And Pete's available to answer any and all questions.
Yeah, we're here for any kind of energy questions. I'm here for you. Let's say you're putting EV chargers in your parking lot. You want to know how that goes and where you can get some discounts or some state initiative values. Give us a call. We can help you with any kind of energy questions as well.
Great. Well, thank you, everybody. And I guess
Thank you.
now we'll
Yeah,
open up to any
Pete
questions.
and Mike, it's Marshall. So can I ask a question before we look to the
Sure.
chat? I know you guys mentioned that, you know, one of the things that restaurateurs run into is that they don't have a lot of time. They don't have, you know, and this can be very confusing and things always change. So the idea of having a dedicated account manager is certainly attractive, you know, to a restaurant person that's, you know, trying to figure out their energy needs. So, you know, that's one great thing to hear. But the question I have, you know, off of that is you mentioned a flexibility of options that you provide. Can you give us, for those, you know, that are watching this webinar, can you give them an idea of, you know, what you see most restaurants, you know, using for a contract now in terms of length of time, or, you know, not giving away any specific pricing or anything, because we know that those things can fluctuate, but what do you generally see restaurants getting into in today's market?
That's a great question. And it's all about, I guess, assessing risk, right? So we can give a restaurant a price and we'll give them their options. We can give them, you know, the 12, the 18, 24, 36 months, 48 months. And it's usually the individual. If an individual likes a price and says, you know what, I like that price, I'm comfortable with that for the next 3 years, I can set my budget and I know I don't have to worry about it. So it all depends. I mean, we have other individuals that like to re-sign every 12 months and stay a little closer to the market. So it's all about assessing your risk and your appetite for it.
Great.
Yeah, and I will also mention with the dedicated, you know, person like Pete, he's watching your renewals. So a lot of people will sign these contracts and have no idea when they end.
Sure.
So your contract will end, you'll go to a floating market, you'll be exposed to the spot market, which can be 2, 3, 10 times higher than what the actual market is. With Pete, he's managing your renewal. So you're hearing from him 6 months before your contract ends, and he's providing you with pricing.
We have dedicated
And that's
systems.
huge.
We have dedicated systems that never forget a renewal, because like Mike said, you never want to be part of the open market. So we have like Salesforce or Power BI or Excel sheets that we are contacting people 5-6 months prior. So once again, renegotiate, talk about the market
The
again.
renewals.
Yes.
All right, we have a couple of questions actually from the crowd. One is from Melvin Thompson. Is the cost of energy in Maryland generally more expensive than our surrounding states? And if so, why?
It's a great question. It's expensive in general behind PJM. PJM used to be Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland. There's now 13 states all competing in auctions for energy. So that's driven up the cost. I will tell you one thing, rest assured, and feel warm and fuzzy that it's a lot more expensive in New Jersey for electricity and gas than it is down in Maryland. And a lot of that has to do with congestion, right? So there's a lot more people in a much smaller area here. So it's basic supply and demand when it comes to different areas of the country.
Very true.
And the next question it's more of a comment, but this person, they were working with an energy partner, a different energy partner, signed a 5-year contract with them, and it didn't go well. And at some point, they layered on a very high capacity surcharge. Can you explain what a capacity surcharge is, and go into further detail on that?
Is this for gas or electric?
Gas or electric?
I'm not sure. It just says they layered on a very high capacity surcharge, and they're writing electric. So electric.
I don't know unless I actually knew what that surcharge was.
We would like to look into it.
I mean, your capacity tag could change. Every year you get a new assigned capacity tag. And if it was outside of the threshold that they may have priced that deal, I mean, that they've been priced wrong from the start. I'm not sure without knowing the specifics. But if that person wants to reach out, I'd be more than happy to look at
We
it.
can evaluate.
Awesome. I think that's yep, that's all that we have on the chat and the Q&A function. Oh, we have one more, sorry, from Tamaray Moore. Does Sprague provide guidance about how restaurants can control their energy usage? I'm thinking something like devices we can use to monitor / control energy uses and or guidance for operators.
Yeah, I mean, there's peak demand, and there's time of use. If it's going to be an extremely hot day, if you want to limit your amount of electricity. So when they go to set your ICAP, they're looking at the hottest, usually the 5 hottest peak days of the summer. I mean, there are things you can do to kind of control that and minimize your exposure to that, but we don't do anything as far as like LED lighting or anything like that, if that's what they're talking
If
about.
they do go battery or battery backup, that kind of eliminates some of the spikes, and that can lower their delivery and their supply costs. I've heard that before as well for battery, but we don't do that.
Okay, if anybody has any more questions, please feel free to use chat and Q&A. We don't have any right now, but we can give it a second if we want.
Okay, so it looks like as we're wrapping up here, I just want to thank the team at Sprague for joining us today and helping our restaurants kind of navigate and understand the environment here in Maryland. At the Restaurant Association of Maryland, we really try to bring our partners to our members to kind of help them make good decisions and have the data that they need. So this certainly is in alignment with that. And we'd love to be, the first question for resources for our members. So we certainly appreciate your time today. And, we continue to look forward to working with everyone. And if you do have questions, feel free to reach out to the Restaurant Association or Sprague directly. Maybe, we can help you with your needs. So With that, Peter and Mike, thank you very much. Emerson as well. So I think we can wrap it up and everybody enjoy the rest of their day.
You as well.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.